Hey there, everybody. Welcome to our review of The Amazing Race Season 32, Episode 5. We are in Paris, a land of carnival games and pies in the face and finding people at like an art cosplay convention.
This was the most fun episode. I loved everything about it. It was so fun.
I love this episode. I feel like all the tasks in this episode were fun. Some of them you didn't necessarily have to be in Paris to do, but it just felt like there was a good spirit about it. Wonderful location, lots of likable teams, some really good, awkward comedy moments as well.
Yep.
We got so much to get to. Let's just dive right into this. And before we do, if you guys enjoy this video, subscribe, hit that notification bell because we don't want you to miss any of these other updates we've got coming up your way.
Yeah, we also have Grey's Anatomy starting tomorrow.
Finally.
We've been waiting so long for that, so make sure that you're with us for that. Also, Friday, Blacklist is back. So if you're a fan of Blacklist like we are, we're going to have a review up for that as well.
It's a crazy, crazy week, and this is a crazy episode because I feel like we have seen this Amazing Race edit so many times of the team that's obviously really, really far back at Kaylin and Haley. And
oh my god, they were the stars of this whole episode for me. I love them, and I love their attitudes through this where they're just like, we're in last place, and they're just getting the pies in the face and they're laughing. They don't even care anymore. They're just like, we know we're at last, give us all the pies in the face. And then they're like this with the car and they're just dying laughing. Just their attitudes are so positive and so good, even though they're just we know we're losing. I love that.
That's how I felt watching it because I was thinking this whole time, okay, they're showing the classic, here's Kaylin and Haley split screen laughing at themselves, and here's Michelle and Victoria who are obviously so far ahead and they just want to make us think that Kaylin and Haley have a chance. And then they actually show up to that roadblock first.
Yeah, no, they did a great job with the editing. I really loved their attitudes about it. It made the show for me. I was dying.
I am sad to lose Michelle and Victoria here just because
agreed.
They are, like I said, the first leg. They have potential to be highly intense, and I think they could have been involved in some good dust-ups with other teams later on.
I will say that I really liked at the end when they were kind of explaining their relationship even more and saying, they were never really that close. They never really said, I love you to each other. And now they've become really close. That's one of the things I really like about this show is, if you're with somebody and you're running with somebody this race and, you kind of have a little bit of conflict, this is a great exercise in trying to learn to work together, get to know each other. I mean, you learn a lot about somebody when you're traveling.
You do, and if I'm one of the other teams right now, and this is no offense to Kaylin and Haley, who I agree are very, very fun. And
oh man, I love them.
They brought the joy in this episode, but I'd feel pretty good that Michelle and Victoria are eliminated because they've had a couple of legs where they felt like they were actually really, really dangerous threats.
Yeah, I mean, and for Kaylin and Haley, I thought for sure they were going up. They were so far behind on so much. And then their last leg, I mean, if that wasn't a non-elimination, they'd be gone.
Let's begin our personal journeys through this episode so that we can give the people what they want, which is really hearing about how we would do terribly in a lot of these tasks.
Well, let's start with the fact that everyone had to drive a stick. So for those of you who don't know, Matt is legally blind. He is fully blind in one eye. No driving for him. I cannot drive a stick. I tried when I was 16 to learn, when I was learning how to drive a stick, and it was not happening. So, my mom switched me over to an automatic. So we would already be out unless we knew we were going on. I would practice, obviously, but I would be the driver in that.
Well, here's the thing. Will and James, apparently, they took lessons or something before. I guess there's a drive stick school or something out there.
It's not easy to drive stick, and him figuring out that he was putting it in third over and over, it's not as easy as it looks. Like, I get what was happening there with him, where he was like, he thought he was in first, but he was actually in third. And every time he moved it, he was just like, what is happening here? Like, it can be tough.
This brings me to one of my favorite sort of undercurrents through all this. It just, Leo is so messy. Like, I don't know if he would admit to it, but it's just like, he loves this stuff. Like, he loves being, like, devious and sort of diabolical.
I loved that Leo went up to them and offered to drive their car backwards to back them out of it. I was like, man, I love this guy. That is so, like, straight up, hey, if you want some help, I'll drive you backwards. And they were like, can you drive us forwards? Sure, I guess I can do that as well. I was like, oh, man, what an offer.
He is so shady. And even, like,
he's great.
He had, like, his little confessional when they were at that first roadblock, and he was talking like, oh, maybe Will and James are still, and then, like, they come in while he's saying it, and his face was incredible this whole time, because then all of a sudden he's like, oh, well, I guess you made it here.
Yeah.
If you're Will and James, you have to know at that moment, okay, this guy was clearly just talking about us.
Oh, for sure. And I'm sure at that moment as well, when he offered to back them down the ramp, that they were just like, okay.
I love everything about Leo. I hope Leo makes it. I hope Leo and Alana and Will and James are both in the finale. This is the best rivalry we have going on this season.
It's great.
Like, and I think what makes it great is that, like, neither one of the teams, like, seem like terrible human beings or anything.
Oh.
I think they both kind of realize how, like, humorous this whole ordeal is, that, like, they are the team that each other is so threatened by when there are, like, pro NFL players on this season.
Yeah, and Hung and Chi, who are going to win this show. Like, they are, I think Atlanta said it best. She was like, they are magic. That it is just magic and fairy dust. That, Chi can go into that carnival game and just like, boop, 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 and I'm out. I'm like, wow. And then his confessional, I've never played these before. I'm like, oh my God, I love that team.
Okay, so the first roadblock here, I love this. I loved everything about this. You go into an art museum.
Oh, I love that.
And you have to find the person dressed like the painting. Let's just lay this out first and foremost. I would not be doing this roadblock, as we have established my vision sucks. Have at it. How would you do in this?
I think I would do so in this, and the reason why is because they did a good enough job dressing people up as the paintings, but some of them didn't match up like quite right. There was one person, I think it was Aparna, had brought up that had a taller gray hair, but in the painting it was way taller than that. So I was just kind of like, it feels kind of like a guessing game.
Maybe they ran out of wigs, and maybe that was the best wig they could get that person. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's cool. It's close, and there were some that they were bringing up that I was like, that feels right. Like, what isn't right about this?
Yeah, Aparna had a really hard time with this.
Yeah, she did.
I think I probably would too, just because it's all like little details.
It was interesting, though, to have Gary be like, I love art. I have so much art, and then he just went in and crushed it.
Once again, great D'Angelo's face. The moment Gary started talking about his love of art, D'Angelo, this was the biggest blindside in CBS reality show history.
Yeah, D'Angelo's just like, who are you?
He's like, had a relationship with this man probably upwards of, I don't know, like 10 years or something. Have you never been to Gary's house, D'Angelo?
I know, that's what I was thinking. I was just like, what is going on here? How does he not know this?
I want to think that Gary has like a secret cabin somewhere in the woods, and he like goes up there and like has a pipe and like 300 pieces of art on the walls, and he like talks to himself in like a French accent or something.
Maybe D'Angelo had been over to Gary's house and just saw all the artwork and was like, oh, I'm sure he just hired somebody to throw some artwork on the wall, and didn't realize how into art Gary is. I thought that was a really genuine moment. It was so wholesome.
I know. I love Gary and D'Angelo. Like, I didn't think coming into this I would relate to like football players at all.
No, but here we are.
Yeah, here we are. They're so fun, and we go from this really, really fun roadblock to what I think is just a really, really fun random task of whipping up the topping for the pies.
You would be so good at this. So those of you who don't know, Matt makes some of the best desserts. He's really good at making just whipped creams and pies and cookies and cupcakes and anything you can imagine. He is really good at this. So I feel like I'd be so at this. I mean, the whipping would probably hurt my hands after a while, but I think you'd be able to help save us.
This is where we make up time after spending 3 hours learning to drive stick. Like, we will be here. I'll just be like, I don't.
Yeah, you're really good at that.
And I can do this. But
Yeah.
here is the problem we would run into with this. It has been established on this channel that there is nothing I find funnier than a pie to the face. And with that in mind, I would not have been able to resist the temptation. We go in there with the pies. Everyone else is doing all this. I would literally put the pie down, let them give me the clue, and then immediately just pie myself in the face.
I was watching this and I was like, oh my goodness, here's the pieing in the face. I imagined that if we were walking in there, as soon as I got a pie in the face, you'd be on the floor just laughing and laughing and laughing at me.
I don't know if we would have we would have picked up so much time and we would have lost it all immediately because this was the funniest thing. And the thing about it that was so funny is, like, I think it was Will and James who were really, like, talking about the merits of their alliance.
Yep.
How could you not think that this was coming? Like, this would be the first thing that is on my mind. It's like, something bad is going to happen with these pies.
For sure. Anytime we've seen on, like, a reality show, someone just has, like, a whipped cream pie, it's always in somebody's face.
I was very fascinated by the dude with the huge arms that was there at this because, like, he seemed to be so... He was enjoying so much watching these people make his pies in front of him.
Absolutely. And that's fine. You gotta take, love in your craft.
I want to know what this guy said, like, when he went home at the end of the day. He was just like, family, let me tell you about all these weirdos that were in my place throwing pies at each other.
Hung getting pied in the face and her hat coming down like that, I was dying. She's like yelling, I can't see. This was such a funny challenge.
All of it was so good. And it's a good transition to everything else we see. I mean, at this point, Riley and Madison, they've got, like, such a lead on everyone else.
Oh, man, they really killed this leg. Good for them. They're great.
Yeah, like, I think we said this last time. We were kind of waiting for the Riley and Madison breakout performance, and this leg was really, really it.
And, like, that their dad owns a cookie shop?
Riley, Madison, we come bearing a request. Can we be friends now? Like, I can make cookies, but you know what's better than making cookies? Someone else making cookies and giving you some.
A professional that runs a cookie shop. I thought that was awesome.
Yeah, their dad probably watched us like, you could have done this better and this better to make that whipped topping faster.
Yep.
That's what I would have been like, but... Okay, as we get into the third roadblock here, I have a confession about these carnival games. Mm-hmm. I have been to the State Fair of Texas many, many times. I also had a season pass once for Six Flags. Mm-hmm. I have played all of these carnival games.
I have also played all of these carnival games because up in Toronto we have the X, and that's like the big exhibition where the carnival comes to town, and for 2 weeks, the last 2 weeks of like August or beginning of September, they come to town. All of these games are there. I am so good at that horse game and skee ball in general. I would have murdered that game.
Luckily for you, I also would have murdered this game, so this would not have... This
would have been where Matt and I are having a fight being like, no, I'm going to take this one. No, I'm going to take this one.
And then I'm just going to, like...
And then we're going to pie me in the face.
I'm going to pie you in the face and be like, haha, I think I have to do this one. And then this is our leg. Like, other than the fact that we would be unable to actually get to any of them.
Drive anywhere, yeah.
We would be good at these challenges. And this one, like, my favorite part of all this was forgive me, Riley and Madison, you both have beards. I am still, like, unable to differentiate you properly all the time. But, one of them seemed very, very upset about the other one's performance and all of this. It was just, like, leaning over and just, like, sneering the whole time.
Yeah, because he was saying that his brother is, like, a darts expert.
What is a darts expert? I know there are darts experts.
Oh, my dad is a dart expert. He is so good at darts.
I am really good at the darts minigame in Final Fantasy VII Remake.
I am medium at darts. I am like so at darts.
Yeah, not sure I can do the darts. I feel like I can do the other stuff. Or if nothing else, here's what you do when you play the horse game. You just start talking to yourself really loud and crazy, and then you're like, look how good my horse is doing. Look how bad yours is doing. Just like psych out all of your opposition.
You love to crap talk people.
I don't mean any of it. That's what makes it so fun. And then when you win, you're just like, yeah! And then somebody like punches you in the face because it's so annoying.
Or pies you in the face.
Wouldn't it have been funny if like one of the people doing that was from the pie thing earlier and they just like showed up with the pie that was right there?
Yep.
All of this challenge I thought was really, really fun. It's like there weren't too many major surprises that really came out of it. Of course, Riley and Madison were first.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, and Hung and Chi were in second, which was like, surprise, surprise. They're doing so great. I mean, this was my favorite episode so far this season. Like, all of it was just making me smile. I loved all the stuff with the stick shift with Leo and Will and James. That whole thing just, like, gave me a smile, even though I know it was irritating all of them. But, I mean, I loved Kaylin and Haley's attitudes with them, this whole thing, and they were just laughing so much. I loved all the challenges. This was great.
I also had a really good Phil moment. You know, I'm always on the lookout for good Phil moments. When he started talking to Will and James about how he had gotten, like, notification from the police. Like, I don't know why, but I was like, oh no, did they speed or something? Like, did they do something? Like, he put the fear of God into them for, like, just, like, 5 seconds.
For a second, and then they, like, went over to them and you could see them smile and they're like, oh, okay.
Thanks, Phil. By the way, I was slightly concerned for Michelle and Victoria when they finally, because it said that they had been in this car for like 6 hours.
Yeah, and then when they were showing the map, and it's like, here's these 2 places, and here's them over here. Do. I'm like, oh no.
I was so worried they were going to sit down for that horse game, and Phil was going to be in one of those seats next to them.
I was worried too that they weren't going to have them finish.
And the elimination was just good. No, that is never fun to be eliminated. We have gone over this. It is best to just finish the leg.
Yep.
Leave with your pride. I guess the one thing we didn't cover, you had to do, like, there was that horse cleaning speed bump I could care less about this. I feel like we could have done okay.
Yeah, that was a pretty easy one where basically they were just burning time cleaning a saddle, and, that was fine.
Can you guys come up with a more fun speed bump? I'm just going to say it. Like, all the rest of this was so great.
I agree. They didn't need to have them cleaning anything. At that point, they might as well just have them sit there for 20 minutes.
Yeah, that could just be a yield. You were in freaking France. Like, there's so many good things. Like, maybe, like, make them eat, like, I don't know. I don't want to say something that's, like, stereotypical and get people mad at me.
You just want to have, like, an eating challenge out there where it's anywhere that Matt can eat, that is happening. And there is so much good food in France.
Just put, like, a giant plate in front of them and be like, you gotta finish this in this amount of time.
That's a tough challenge.
It is a tough challenge. They've done stuff like this before. It could be fun, but...
It could be.
It's all right. I'm not gonna be too mad. We got a great leg otherwise.
Oh, it was so good.
Well,
great
let's
episode.
Hear from you guys. What did you think about this journey through France? Who are you rooting for the most? Were you shocked like we were by the elimination in the end? Share it, and if you do like this video, subscribe, give us a like, support us further. Check those links to the store, our Patreon, and we'll see you here next time.